By Sri Lanka's best internet package for online learning and online working with many amazing offers. Call 1212 for more information. Sri Lanka Telecom.
ලෙන්ගතුකම වැඩි කරගන්න ලව්ජු රුපියල් 50ට අඩු කළා.
මාමේ එන්න අපිට එකක් බොමු.
Making headlines tonight. Tip of the iceberg. Zaharan Hashim gave 36 boys weapons training. Investigative officer tells the PCOI. Remote operation. A drug racketeer in Dubai to be named as 14th suspect in the PNB officer's drug racketeering case. Obvious contradiction. CCTV footage of Anuruddha Sampayo's arrest released to media. Deputy Solicitor General blasts the police. MP on death row. AG deems Premalal Jayasekara unsuitable to be seated in Parliament. All this and much more coming up tonight on First at 9. This Monday, the 31st of August 2020.
Nava sunlight sakura. Then dikukal pavatina sakura mal suandin.
From AdaDerana, this is AdaDerana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
A warm welcome. This is First at 9 on AdaDerana 24, and we begin with your top story tonight. An investigative officer of the Presidential Commission of Inquiry probing the Easter Sunday attacks testified before it today, saying that attacks ringleader Zaharan Hashim and his cohort had given weapons training to over 30 students at a madrasa in Vanathavilluwa. Meanwhile, former Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe and former Minister of Education Akila Viraj Karyawasam, who called at the Commission's police unit today, provided statements.
Former Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe arrived at the police unit of the Presidential Commission of Inquiry probing the Easter Sunday terror attacks at 10 a.m. today. A spokesperson of the Commission said that Wickremesinghe was summoned to obtain a statement pertaining to the Security Council during the government of good governance. The former PM gave a near 4-hour statement and left the premises without speaking to media. Meanwhile, former Minister of Education UNP General Secretary Akila Viraj Karyawasam also recorded a statement with the Commission. He was summoned over the process followed in the preparation of textbooks on school syllabi. His statement lasted for nearly 2 hours. In the meantime, the Presidential Commission heard testimonies today as well, and it was the turn of the investigative officer who probed Zaharan Hashim's training camps, Shrimal Sanjeeva Sampath. He said that Zaharan and other extremists had conducted workshops and training at the madrasa named Al-Zurriya in the area of Karethiu in Vanathavilluwa from 2015 to 2019. It was also revealed that 36 boys had been educated at the said madrasa. He added that Zaharan Hashim, his brother Rilwan, Shangri-La attacker Ibrahim Ilham and his wife Fatima Jeffrey, Katuapiti attacker Hastun's wife Pulastini Mahendran, also known as Sarah Jasmine, and an individual named Muhammad Naufar had visited the said madrasa and conducted extremist lectures and workshops. The witness went on to say that Zaharan and Ibrahim Ilham had conducted extremist lectures and they had shown relevant videos to the children at the madrasa. Zaharan's brother Rilwan had conducted a practical training exercise on operating a T-56 firearm and had also conducted lectures on making hand grenades. The Attorney General's department asked the witness whether all 36 boys at the madrasa had been made part of the extremist lectures. In response, the witness said that Zaharan had only used 26 boys enrolled at the madrasa by the organisation named Save the Pearl in the extremist lectures and workshops. The investigative officer further claimed that the children are from the areas of Mattakkuliya, Madampe and Putlam, while most of them are from underprivileged families.
Enjoy a very smooth shave with the Bic Easy 2 razor. Bic Easy 2.
The case against the 13 officers of the Police Narcotics Bureau was taken up before the Colombo Magistrates Court today, with Deputy Solicitor General DILEEPA PEIRIS submitting an update on the CID investigation against the accused. Now, during the proceedings, new information pertaining to how the drug racketeers had distributed narcotics using color-coded packaging to identify the drugs that were distributed for various parts of the country was revealed. The Deputy Solicitor General also said that they had sufficient evidence proving underworld figure Udara Sampath's involvement in drug racketeering, and thus he will be named as the 14th suspect in the case.
The case against the 13 officers of the Police Narcotics Bureau who were accused of drug racketeering was taken up before the Colombo Magistrates Court today. Deputy Solicitor General DILEEPA PEIRIS, appearing for the Criminal Investigation Department, produced a report in court pertaining to the progress of the investigations being conducted. However, the 13 suspects who were in remand custody were not produced before court. The Deputy Solicitor General told court that from the 130 kilograms of heroin that the suspects had transported from Mathura, 25 kilograms had been distributed in the area of Hikkadua. He added that a suspect identified as Neil was taken into custody from the 24th of July from the area of Kahava in Hikkadua with 11 kilograms of the 25 kilograms of heroin initially distributed in Hikkadua. He noted that the drug racketeers had used color-coded packaging to identify the drugs distributed to various areas. For an instance, he said that the drugs distributed in Ambalangoda was in blue packaging, drugs distributed in Gaul was in green packaging, while the drugs distributed in Valigama was in black-colored packaging. The Deputy Solicitor General highlighted this as the first time that information of such nature being uncovered. He told the court that sufficient evidence have been uncovered to prove that the suspects had transported narcotics of drug racketeers under their protection, and that if the DIG in charge of the Narcotics Bureau and the IGP had been aware of this but remained silent, they are too culpable of the crime. Deputy Solicitor General DILEEPA PEIRIS also told the court that the involvement of the underworld racketeer Udara Sampath, who is currently in Dubai, has been uncovered pertaining to the drug racket. The plaintiff will move to name him as the 14th suspect in the case. He went on to say that a sub-inspector of the Police Special Task Force named Kalupahanage Ajit Prevanal was arrested on the 8th of August by the CID and is investigated under detention orders. What's more, that sub-inspector had maintained contacts with the convicted drug racketeer on death row, Vele Sudha, via telephone on numerous occasions. He further said that the involvement of 12 police STF personnel, including a chief inspector, in the seizure of 294 kilograms of heroin from a shopping complex in Kolpeti recently has also been revealed. Meanwhile, another investigation is underway against the remanded PNB officers on the information received with regards to gun running. The Deputy Solicitor General said that some of the suspects have amassed assets worth millions and they're also being investigated under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act. After considering the presented facts, the magistrate further remanded the 13 suspects until the 14th of September.
Now, the Negombo magistrate today granted bail to former superintendent of the Negombo prison, Anuruddha Sampayo, and 3 others who are accused of various anomalies at the prison, including associations with drug racketeers. Now, the magistrate ordered the suspects to appear before the CID twice every month and to refrain from influencing the witnesses in the investigation. In the meantime, CCTV footage of Sampayo's arrest was also released to media today.
The Attorney General's Department produced in court a CD containing CCTV footage and still photographs which were taken on the day former Superintendent of the Negombo prison Anuruddha Sampayo was arrested. According to the CCTV footage, the vehicle of the Negombo HQI and another van had been parked on the side of the road at a location in Kurunagala on the 2nd of August at 3:19 p.m. At 3:29 p.m, a red Discovery Sport Jeep arrives at the scene and the Negombo HQI and 6 others are seen approaching the Jeep to greet the person disembarking. Then Anuruddha Sampayo gets out from the Jeep and the Negombo HQI is seen shaking Sampayo's hand for a few seconds and talking in a friendly manner. Sampayo behaved freely near police officers and he then made a phone call using a mobile phone and had a conversation. Sampayo then handed the mobile phone over to the Negombo HQI to proceed with the conversation. Then 2 men clad in a red checkered shirt and a yellow, black and white striped t-shirt greet Sampayo with a friendly handshake. At around 3:31 p.m, the Negombo HQI opens the back door of his jeep for Sampayo and another officer in a police uniform at the same time is seen raising an umbrella for Sampayo's benefit. Later, the Negombo HQI takes the front seat of the Jeep with Sampayo already in the back seat. 7 minutes later, at about 3:38 p.m, a man in a black t-shirt approaches Sampayo's vehicle, and it appears that Sampayo had said something to the individual. The person who approached the vehicle can be seen recording a statement from Sampayo on his mobile phone, and then the Negombo HQI gets out of the vehicle, approaches Sampayo and tells him something.
මේ සම්පූර්ණ මට වැරදි වැඩක් කියලා කරන්නේ මම බාර නැතුව හිටියේ අපිල් කෝට් තීන්දුව නගන්නේ ඒගොල්ලන්ට හැකියාව වලට අය අපිට කරන්න බෑ අපි බේරගන්න.
After the recording is done, the Jeep carrying Sampayo and the Negombo HQI leaves the scene at 3:39 p.m, and it is also seen how the individual who recorded Sampayo's statement also recorded his departure. Meanwhile, others who were with Negombo HQI also leaves the scene in the van which was parked behind the Jeep. Accordingly, Deputy Solicitor General DILEEPA PEIRIS pointed out that the manner in which the police officer executed the arrest warrant is an insult to the court. The Deputy Solicitor General also informed the court that the Attorney General had sent a letter to the Acting Inspector General of Police on the 20th of August regarding the delays in the execution of the warrant pertaining to the first suspect, Anuruddha Sampayo. The letter had stated that the procedure used by the Negombo HQI to arrest Sampayo on the 2nd of August is completely contrary to the official entry made in the police logbook. Furthermore, the Deputy Solicitor General stated that the acting IGP had not responded to the letter, although 11 days have passed since it was sent by the AG. Deputy Solicitor General DILEEPA PEIRIS said that the complainants would not remain silent regarding this shameful and absurd process, and that the Attorney General would instruct the Acting Inspector General of Police next Wednesday to arrest the Negombo HQI and produce him in court for making improper entries in the police logbook. According to the Deputy Solicitor General, the investigation conducted against Sampayo in connection with money laundering has revealed that he had allegedly paid more than 1 million rupees a month for vehicles, a Nissan X-Trail and a BMW. He also told court that Vijayananda Samaravira, who was the storekeeper of the Negombo prison, is named as the 5th suspect in the investigation. The Deputy Solicitor General stated that it would be an impediment to the continuation of the investigation if the suspects are granted bail in this case, and strongly objected to the suspects being granted bail. Legal counsel appearing for the suspects, President's counsel FERNANDO, stated that although a party had filed statements against his client regarding the vehicles, no evidence, even in a form of a receipt, had been produced to prove any of it. The President's counsel further stated that about 75% of the cases filed by the CID in court today are against the Negombo Police Headquarters Inspector, and no new facts have been filed against Sampayo. Therefore, the President's counsel requested the court to grant bail subject to any conditions on the promise of extending support for future investigations. Accordingly, Negombo Magistrate Jayasuriya stated that nothing new has been reported today regarding the suspects other than what the CID had reported the previous day, and she further stated that the statements made regarding the actions of a police officer are outside the scope of this case. The magistrate further stated that there was no evidence that the suspects had intimidated witnesses during their remand for more than a month. Accordingly, the first suspect, Anuruddha Sampayo, was released on 2 surety bails of 1 million rupees each, while the other 3 suspects were released on 2 surety bails of 600,000 rupees each. Furthermore, the magistrate also ordered the suspects to appear before the CID twice every month and to refrain from influencing the witnesses in the investigation.
Now, as the government's war on drugs continue to gather momentum, the police continues to make arrests. Several drug rackets, meanwhile, were uncovered by the police after suspects who are already in custody were interrogated. In the latest round of arrests, a suspect was apprehended from Galahitiawa for selling drugs to school children. Here's the latest on Sri Lanka's war on drugs and the underworld.
The Maligawatha police arrested an associate of organised criminal gang leader Kanjipani Imran, named Mohammad Farooq Mohammad Faiz, alias Piche Faiz, yesterday, with 1.18 grams of heroin in his possession. There are several existing cases against the suspect in courts on charges of murder, taking a mobile phone to the Busa prison where Kanjipani Imran is remanded, and drug racketeering. Elsewhere in Bambalapitiya, 3 suspects were caught last night while distributing crystal methamphetamine, commonly known as ice. The police seized 485 grams of ice from the possession of the suspects. The police have also identified the mastermind of the drug operation, and operations are underway in search of the suspect. In the meantime, a 27-year-old was arrested by police from NEGOMBO yesterday with 13.12 grams of heroin in his possession. Interrogations of the suspect revealed a heroin racket operated by a couple residing in the area of Modara, and it was also uncovered by the police that the suspect had distributed drugs in the area of RLI in Jaffna after obtaining them from the said couple. Following interrogations, the NEGOMBO police arrested the couple which conducted the heroin racket from Modara. The police also seized 16.23 grams of heroin and 27 grams of ice from the possession of the suspects. In a separate development, the anti-corruption unit of Ganemulla arrested Sanjeeva Madhushanka Vijayasekara, alias Hurubutiya, while concealing 7 small packets of heroin in his face mask from the area of Galahitiava yesterday. Investigations so far have revealed that the heroin obtained from the suspect from Jayala is being sold to school children. In another development, an accomplice of a representative involved in a drug racket operated from Dubai was arrested by the Criminal Investigation Unit of the Panadura Police Division with 9.9 grams of heroin in his possession. In the meantime, a 39-year-old woman who operated a heroin racket in Vattala was arrested with 13.3 grams of heroin and 50 grams of Kerala cannabis. Furthermore, a youth from Vattala and a 31-year-old woman from Kandana, who also sold drugs purchased from the 39-year-old woman, were also arrested by Vattala police. Meanwhile, 8 suspects involved in the drug racket operated by Kimula L.A. Guna and his brother Suresh were arrested from several locations in Colombo. The police seized 70 grams of heroin and 20,000 rupees in cash, 2 3-wheelers and 2 motorbikes from the possession of the suspects. Investigations have revealed that the arrested suspects bring drugs to Mena from India and distribute them in Colombo after transporting the drugs by train. In a separate development, vehicles used by organised criminal gang member Kosgoda Taraka and his accomplice Gagana for various crimes were displayed to media at the Paliagoda police today. The vehicles in question include 7 cars and 6 motorbikes.
The United States and Sri Lanka discuss cooperation in security and enhancing military professionalization. We'll find out after this break.
Ceylon Bank, the bank with a heart.
Welcome back to the news. U.S. Secretary of Defense Dr. Mark Esper had spoken with President Gotabaya Rajapaksa over the phone yesterday. As a statement issued by the U.S. Department of Defense said, the duo during the call had discussed Sri Lanka's efforts in COVID-19. During the call, Secretary Esper had congratulated President Gotabaya Rajapaksa on its successful handling of the COVID-19 pandemic and the recent conclusion of parliamentary elections, and urged continued progress on reconciliation and human rights in Sri Lanka. Now, the duo had discussed their shared commitment to a free and open Indo-Pacific that ensures the sovereignty of all nations. The statement read that reviewing common bilateral defense priorities, they noted opportunities to enhance military professionalization, counterterrorism and maritime security cooperation. Both leaders expressed their commitment to expanding bilateral defense relations and to advancing shared interests. Attorney General Dappula de Oliveira says that Premalal Jayasekara, who was elected to Parliament from the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna and is currently on death row, is unsuitable to be seated in Parliament or cast his vote. The MP was convicted in the case pertaining to a UNP supporter being gunned down in the run-up to the 2015 presidential poll.
Coordinating Officer of the Attorney General State Counsel Nisha Rajaratna said that the Attorney General on the 19th of August had communicated his opinion to the Secretary General of Parliament, the Secretary to the Justice Ministry and the Commissioner General of Prisons pertaining to Premalal Jayasekara holding a seat in Parliament. The Attorney General's Department noted Section 333(4) of the Code of Criminal Procedure Act No. 15 of 1979 says, where the accused is sentenced to death, execution shall be stayed and he shall be kept on remand in prison pending the determination of the appeal. The AG's department, however, noted it does change the conviction of the said individual as per the provisions of the existing laws. Further, the Attorney General's department said, as per Section 91(1)(a) of the Constitution, no person shall be qualified to be elected as a Member of Parliament or to sit and vote in Parliament if he is or becomes subject to any of the disqualifications specified in Article 89. It adds, Section 89D of the Constitution notes, no person shall be qualified to be an elector of an election of the President or of the Members of Parliament or to vote at any referendum if he is under sentence of death and he will lose right to vote under such a sentence. As such, the Attorney General has said it is his opinion that Premalal Jayasuriya, who was sentenced to death, is not suitable to sit and vote in Parliament.
Minister of Education Professor J.L. PEIRIS says that the primary aim of the proposed 20th Amendment to the Constitution is to make all necessary changes to the 19th Amendment sans a public referendum. He, however, insists that a new constitution will be introduced, but any mention of a new position for former President Maithripala Sirisena is yet to be mentioned. Meanwhile, Chief Registrar of the Untitled Chapter, Venerable Dr. Madagama Sri Dhammananda Thera, calls for the appointment and consultation of a council consisting of the chief prelates pertaining to the formation of an important legislations and agreements.
පැහැදිලිවම දන්නා 18 වෙනි ආණ්ඩුක්‍රම සංශෝධනයත් ගෙනාවේ මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂ මැතිතුමාට උමනාවට. දේශපාලන වශයෙන් අපි මොන මත දැරුවත් අපි තේරුම් ගත යුතු යථාර්ථය. ඒ දේම තමයි 19 වෙනි ආණ්ඩුක්‍රම ව්‍යවස්ථාවත් ගෙනාවේ. එක පීසකට පවුලකට පහර ගහන්න උවමනාවට තමයි 19 වෙනි ආණ්ඩුක්‍රම ව්‍යවස්ථාව එක පැත්තකින් ගෙනාවේ. අපිට කතිකාවත යන විදිහට අපිට පේනවා කඩිනමින්ම ආණ්ඩුක්‍රම ව්‍යවස්ථාවේ මේ 19 වෙනි වගන්තිය ඉවත් කරගත යුතුයි කියන කාරණේ ඉදිරිපත් වෙනවා. ජනාධිපතිවරයාට යම්කිසි බලයක් ශක්තියක් තියෙන්න ඕන රජයේ පවත්වාගෙන යන්නට තමන්ට අවශ්‍ය විදිහට මේ රටේ පාලනය කරන්නට ඊළඟ වතාවේදී ආණ්ඩුක්‍රම ව්‍යවස්ථාවක් සකස් වෙනකොට අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම යම්කිසි තැනක් මහානායක මාහිමිපාණන් වහන්සේලාගේ ඒ යම් නියෝජනයකින් නියෝජිත පේශකින් සැලුන යම්කිසි මණ්ඩලයක් සකස් විය යුතුයි මේ ආණ්ඩුව සම්බන්ධ ගිවිසුම් රටට බලපාන රාජ්‍යත්වයට බලපාන ඒකීයත්වයට බලපාන බුදුදහමට බලපාන ඒ ජාත්‍යන්තර වශයෙන් හෝ අනපනත් ඉදිරිපත් කරනකොට ඒවා පිළිබඳව අධ්‍යයනයක් කළා යම්කිසි ඒ සුභවාදීව ඒවා හසුරුවා ගැනීමට පුළුවන් විදිහේ පාලනයක් කිරීමට භික්ෂුන් වහන්සේලාගෙන් සැදුන ඒ යම් මණ්ඩලයක් සිටිය යුතුයි කියන තැන අපි ඉන්නවා.
මේ 19 වෙනි සංශෝධනය අනුව කොච්චර පහත් තත්වයකට ඒ ව්‍යවස්ථාව ඇදලා දාලා තියෙනවද කිව්වොත් රටේ බහුතරයක් ජනතාවගේ ඡන්දයෙන් පත්වන ජනාධිපතිවරයාට ව්‍යවස්ථාවෙන් හිමි බලතලය වෙන රාජ්‍ය ආරක්ෂා කිරීමේ බලය ක්‍රියාත්මක කිරීම සඳහා අමාත්‍ය දුරයක් දැරීමටවත් ඒ බලය ලබා දෙන්නේ නැහැ. නව ව්‍යවස්ථාවක් අනිවාර්යෙන් ගෙන එනවා. සියලු ජන වර්ග වලට හානියක් නොවන එක වැඩදායක ව්‍යවස්ථාවක් තමයි අපි ගෙන එන්නේ.
19 ජනමත විචාරණයේ පුදුදෙන කරුණු මොනක් වෙන්නේ?
ජනමත විචාරණයකින් තොරව කරන්න පුළුවන් සංශෝධන කිරීම තමයි 20 වෙනි සංශෝධනයෙන් මූලික වශයෙන් බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ. පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ නිල කාලයම දීර්ඝ කරන්න බෑ. ජනාධිපතිවරයාගේ නිල කාලයේ දීර්ඝ කරන්න බෑ. දීර්ඝ කරනවා නම් ජනමත විචාරණයක් පැවැත්විය යුතුයි. එහෙම නැත්නම් ජනමත විචාරණයක අවශ්‍යතාවයක් නැහැ. අනිත් සමහර දේවල් දැන් කවුරුත් පිළිගන්නවා කිසිම හේතුවක් නිසා ජනාධිපතිවරයාට පාර්ලිමේන්තුව අවුරුදු 4මාරකට විසිරවන්න බෑ කියන එක. ඒ තුලින් අරාජක තත්වයක් උද්ගත වන්න පුළුවන්. කොහොමදත් පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ කාලය අවුරුදු 5කින් ඉවරයි. ඉතින් අයි අවුරුදු 4මාරක් දක්වා මුකුත් කරන්න බෑ. එහෙනම් අරාජක තත්වයක් වළක්වන්න තියෙන එකම ක්‍රමය තමයි ජනතාවට යන එක.
මේ හරහා ඔය හිටපු ජනාධිපතිතුමාට නව තනතුරක් නිර්මාණය වෙනවද?
දැනට එහෙම දෙයක් සඳහන් වෙලා නැහැ. යෝජිත සංශෝධනවල එහෙම දෙයක් ඇතුළත් වෙලා නැහැ දැනට.
Weeks after being tested positive for COVID-19, India's Pranab Mukherjee passes away at the age of 84. Details after this break. Sri Lankan stocks gained 0.16% on John Keel's Holdings, Cargill Ceylon PLC and Valuable One PLC today, while the S&P SL 20 index closed 0.03% lower. Sri Lankan rupee closed stronger at 185 rupees and 90 cents to 186 rupees against the US dollar today, while bond yields remain unchanged. Here's a look at how markets performed during the day.
With the market trading day falling in between holidays, we saw a bit of slowness in the activities, especially during the early part of the day. However, as the day went on, the activities actually picked up. We saw some significant interest in GFCC, John Case and Royal Ceramics actually boosting turnover during the day. Most of the turnover was led by high net worth and institutional participation, as retail participation was slightly slowed down with the investors more in a sort of a holiday mode. However, with the institutional and high net worth activity, turnover was boosted up to again over $1 billion, closing exceeding about 1.3 billion rupees, and with bulk of the trading concentrating on the banking sector counters and capital goods counters.
That wraps up tonight's edition of First at 9. Good night.